So let's prove this one. Given point B is the midpoint of segment OA and segment TW, prove that triangle BOT is congruent to triangle BAW. So you can pause the video if you want to uh, prove, and then and continue the video to check if you got the correct answer. So first statement is, of course, the given. So we have point B is the midpoint of segment OA and segment TW. Reason given. Now, using the first statement, point B is the midpoint of segment OA. So what happened in segment OA if point B is the midpoint? So we have two congruent segments. It can form two congruent segments. So what will be the congruent segment? Segment BO is congruent to segment BA. Reason? By the definition of midpoint. So if the point is the midpoint of the segment, it divides the segment into two congruent segments. Another, point B is also the midpoint of segment TW. Therefore, we also have the congruent segment. So we have segment BW or BT rather. So we have first BT is congruent by the segment BW. Reason? The definition of midpoint. So again, the definition of midpoint, if a point is a midpoint of a given segment, it divides the segment into two congruent parts. Next, so we have the side. So we have another one, or we need another part of the triangle in order for us to make that the two triangles are congruent. So using the two intersecting line, if we have two intersecting line, it form a vertical angles. And what are the vertical angles? If two angles are vertical, then they are congruent. So we can say that angle OBT is congruent to angle. So we have angle OBT, this one, is congruent to angle ABW. Using the vertical angle theorem or divide. So if two angles are vertical, then they are congruent. So we have three parts. We have two sides and an angle. Now let's determine what kind of angle is that. So we have the included angle. It's between the two given sides. So we can prove that the triangle BOT is congruent to triangle BAW by, so we have this side, angle, side, or we have the side, angle, side. So we have the SAS postulate or the SAS postulate. So we end our proof statement and reason because we already proved that the two triangles are congruent. Let's have another. So we have given segment AE is perpendicular to segment SB and segment ES is congruent to segment EB. So prove that triangle SEA is congruent to triangle VEA. So first, let's write the given. We have segment AE is perpendicular to segment SB. This one. Segment AE is perpendicular to segment SB. By reason that will be given. So what angle form if we have perpendicular, or if the two segments perpendicular, it form a right angle. So we can say that angle AES and angle AEB are right angles. By what reason? Perpendicularity, or the definition of perpendicular. Perpendicularity states that if two lines form perpendicular, then or are perpendicular, then they form right angles. By that, we can say that angle AES is congruent to angle AEV. Reason? Because all right angles are congruent. So we have angle. Now we can use the other given. We have segment ES is congruent to segment EV. So segment ES, this one, is congruent to segment EV. Reason? We have the given, and that will be the side. So we only need one part of the triangle congruent to the other in order for us that the two triangles are congruent. Check the given. We have triangle SEA congruent to triangle BEA. We can say that segment EA is congruent to segment EA. This one. Check the figure. We have segment EA is congruent to segment EA. EA is congruent to segment EA. Why? Because of the reflexive property. So we have the reflexive property of congruence. Now we have three parts. Angle, side, side. Let's check the angle if it's included or not. So based on the given figure, the given angle is included because it's in between the two given sides. So therefore, triangle SEA is congruent to triangle VEA by SAS postulate, or the SAS side angle side postulate. So that's how to prove that the two triangles congruent. We can prove that the two triangles are congruent using the test for congruence. So what are those? We have the SSS, we have the SAS, we have the ASA, and we have the AAS. As well as using the definition, the postulate, the theorem that we have previously proven, and the corollary. That's the end of our lesson, triangle congruence.